Pleasure hosting you too.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. You've done a good job at putting everything together. I appreciate that.
Yeah, trying my best.
That's all we can do, man. All we can do is our best.
Yeah.
So, what do you do when you're not doing this?
Actually, I'm a first year student. I'm basically studying computer science,
Okay.
and I'm into such environment sustainability stuff since, say, a year ago. So I've
All
been
right.
contributing my best to Lusu.
Good for you, man. And you'll have to educate me a little bit.
Sure. I'm going to, like, what the structure will be exactly. I'm going to first start with what Lawsuit is, what it actually does, then give an intro about you because that would give a clear idea or clear picture of about you to the people and the audience there. So accordingly, we'll move ahead and then you can continue with the session. So
Yeah.
that's how we move about 30 to 40 minutes of speaker session and including the interaction with the audience. And then
Sure.
when later on we move to this thing Q&A or interaction again.
Sure. Sounds great.
So I just want all the participants to write down their email IDs and their full names in the chat so that we can approach to you later and we can accordingly send certificates to you all. To everyone, your personal mail works. I'll just figure out some things with the streaming of YouTube and I'll be back in a couple of months.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Um, do we have good numbers to start, or we can wait for 2 to 5 minutes for people to join in because they are joining right now?
Yeah, that's fine. Fine with me.
Fine with you. So, what shall we do, people? Do you want me to start, or we can wait for 2 to 5 minutes, or maximum 6-5? We're at 6-1 right now. So it's
Yeah,
better to wait 2 to 3 minutes more if possible.
Yeah, that sounds good with me.
Cool. So we have regular entries right now. People are entering the room.
Yeah. It's dinner time there.
No, it's like a supper time right now. Dinner is mostly usually 2 hours later. So normally.
Okay. Right on. So where are the bulk of the attendees from?
Bulk of the attendees, they are like mostly all of them are from India, and majorly they are from South India, basically Karnataka, Bangalore, you might have heard of,
Yeah.
Hyderabad, Mumbai. So mostly from there, but we have like distributed across India.
Good deal. Is Sachin, will he be joining us today?
Yeah, he will be joining us today. Just 2 more minutes, and I guess we will start because we have pretty good number of members at the start itself.
Yeah, very good. It's climbing.
Yeah, it has to.
Yeah.
I'll repeat for people who are joining later. You can all just put down your complete name and your official ID. It can be personal email ID. You can just put it down in the chat so that we can provide you the certificates at the end of the session. We'll begin in a minute, so no hassle. Okay, it's time we should start. A very warm evening to everyone from India, and a very good morning to Shawn, especially because he's joining us right away from Carolina, USA. And I hope everyone is doing safe because of COVID around. Anyways, just be safe, maintain social distance if possible, wear mask wherever you go. So I'd like to just start away with what actually Lawsuit is so that you get a clear picture what Lawsuit does and how it is contributing to sustainability and reversing climate change, or you can say global warming. So Lawsuit is actually a startup based out of Bangalore in Karnataka in India. So what it actually does is it helps you calculate your carbon footprints, and at the same time it also helps you erase them. Like it has a cool calculator, which is a creative one. You can go on our website, which is www.losu.com. I'll leave the link below. You can visit the website and you can actually calculate your own carbon footprints, which is super cool. Trust me. And not only just go and calculate, but you can also erase them on our behalf. So like it's a pretty good one. It's a creative, it's new in the market, it's quite completely new, so people are not aware. So you can try it out. And what actually we have is we are building up a community of like-minded people right now across the world. So we have a Discord community. Discord is actually a platform where people come, they talk, they engage, and they grow with like-minded people. So we actually have a Discord server for Losu, which has the main goal or a resonating goal, which is achieving carbon neutrality, or you can say becoming carbon neutral as whole. So for the people joining right now, I again repeat, just put your official personal email ID and with your name in the chat box so that we can track you back, and we'll be able to provide certificates later easily. So let's start this session. Firstly, welcome once again, Mr. Shawn, and let me introduce and give you a quick flashback what actually Shawn does. So Shawn is actually an architectural engineer who is licensed green builder, who is certified business energy professional through the Association of Energy Engineers. And he has actually dedicated over a decade of his career to energy efficiency and the corporate world, consulting on energy projects for the world's largest manufacturers and institutions, which is really great. So he also runs a podcast called The Efficiency Equals Profitability, and where he actually interviews energy professionals from across the industry. And Shawn will actually take us through his journey, how he got into this energy industry at a very young age, and how he tried to, sustain, or you can say how he developed himself through this age, and like through his career over the 10 years. And at the same time, he will give you a short intro about himself, followed by this, because I might have missed something. So he'll cover up at my part. So yeah, presenting you, Shawn. The stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Drew. Appreciate you having me here, and I'm glad to see so many people joining because this is something that's important to me, and anything I can do to help shed light on something or give someone what I call a golden nugget, that's really important to me. And so a lot of people that I interview on my podcast as peers in my industry will say, well, nobody got into this because they went to Sustainability 101. And so, I'm in my 40s, and so it's a little bit different for me. Most of my peers here in the United States and overseas as well, they were engineers. They were in sales, they were in construction, and they kind of just gravitated into the energy industry. Mine's a little different. I started off with my father. When I was 5 years old, he had a solar company. So we were putting solar rooftops, solar hot water, solar heat, and I was picking up shingles. So I started off at an early age with that. Traversed through my career. I had a web development, web design career early on, which lended useful. And then I got into construction and to green building. And I guess I'm telling you all this because I feel that anyone can get into this industry. It really is. It involves what is your passion and what are you good at? And my passion has always been the environment, even before I knew it. And what are you good at? For me, it was more of being a problem solver. So I think that it led really well to becoming a builder, and then doing some green build projects. And then, so then I basically got into energy efficiency through hot watt energy, going after small to medium-sized businesses, and then growing my career I found that, well, when my son was born, we got into, basically, I wanted something more consistent, and I got picked up by Granger, which is one of the largest electrical distributors in our country, and I did energy consulting for all their clients. And so, and I did the same thing after that for a company called Wesco Distribution, which is one of the larger electrical distributors in the world. So and this goes back to almost 12 years ago when I started there. And what I got the ability to do was go into factories across our country and see how everything was made, which is really cool. And there used to be a show on TV called How Things Are Made, and it would take you behind the scenes in a factory so you could see, how nuts and bolts and plastic bottles and cell phones and everything is made. And so I got to live that for a while. And I also got to see the insides of facilities on a large scale. And it was really eye-opening for me. I think the thing that one of my biggest takeaways is how much waste is in the manufacturing process, and also just in everyday buildings, whether it be offices or homes. I've got, a chance to see kind of all of it. And really what it did is it fueled my fire a lot to try to make a difference. And so with those companies, I got the education and the ability to work on large projects. And what I found out was that out of all of the work that we're doing in my industry in terms of energy efficiency, not a lot of it was getting done. Not a lot of it was getting implemented. So you named this course Why Energy Efficiency, or the importance of it, or the future of it. I think we are at a pinnacle time right now where it's time really to shift. And I read a very inspiring book a few years ago called Drawdown. And it is the most comprehensive plan ever proposed to reverse global warming. So if you haven't picked it up, go pick it up. It's called Drawdown. And it literally names out 75 or 100 different niche businesses within the energy sector or within the sustainability sector that are just all answers to climate change. And so I went down that rabbit hole. I researched a whole bunch of different businesses. I probably took a solid year and did I would say business case analyzing and ROIs on a couple of really interesting ones to me. One was black soldier fly larva conversion, and the other is waste to energy conversion, and so on and so forth. And so after all this research, I find out that, you know what, I'm really good at energy efficiency, and I know this industry really well. I'm going to stick with it. And it's one component within this mammoth energy industry, right? So for all of you listening, somehow you're tied into sustainability or energy, I would imagine, or have the ambition to be. And so let's talk about why it's so important, right? First off, it's not what I refer to as sexy, like solar or electric vehicles, and it's really not even talked about. We hear people talking about wind and microgrids and all kinds of other battery storage and things like that. And I speak on energy efficiency because, well, if you ask somebody what the cheapest form of energy is, it's the energy you don't use, right? And so really, all we're doing is making businesses buildings and homes the most efficient they can be. For instance, my home here is a fairly large home, and I built it specifically for energy efficiency and comfortability, and it will only cost me $100 a month to run it off of electricity with no gas or no propane or no oil. And $100 for a month in the US is very inexpensive for a large home. So it's all about planning, and it's all about having an understanding of buildings. And so this kind of leads me into, I look at energy efficiency as the first line of offense to fight climate change, or to help reverse climate change. Why? Like I said, it's the cheapest form of energy. It has the lowest paybacks in the industry. So when I think of paybacks, and most of my business, most of what I do is in the corporate world. And so right now, Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies in this world are really expecting a 1-year payback, 1 to 2 years sometimes. And then, as we get into smaller businesses, medium-sized businesses, or if there is a very large reason to do this project, maybe say that, it reduces maintenance by quite a bit, a 2 to 3 year payback is honored. And so what we try to do is we try to come up with projects that have a great payback so that they can get funded by the customer. Another great thing about energy efficiency, and I don't know what it's like in India, but it's very heavily incentivized here in the US and in Europe. And so state governments, federal governments, and utility all have incentives to drive these projects. And so, and a good chunk of it does not take rocket surgery to figure out how to install lighting or how to put controls on an HVAC system. And kind of last but not least around that is you see and you hear a lot of people putting in solar projects and renewable projects into a facility or a campus that's not efficient. So if I have a demand of 1 million kilowatt hours a year for this campus, we'll just use a university or something, and I design a solar PV system to meet that 1 million kW demand. What if I could reduce the demand by 30% through energy efficiency? Now I'm only designing, a 700 kW PV system, which costs a whole lot less. There's a whole lot less manufacturing and installation and all of the things. And so the big picture here behind energy efficiency is efficiency, right? Because although it does take production to create LED lighting or a certain, VFD or a control system or whatever the project may be, you kind of have to look at it both ways. So, right, there's number one, you're replacing something that's inefficient with a more efficient system. And a lot of times that is a replacement or a retrofit. It can also just be a control. Controlling something is the best way to get energy efficiency into your building. But sometimes it's not possible. Sometimes you have to do both. Sometimes you replace and you control. I want to think about what is the cost to our environment for that LED light, right? Or for that thermostat, or for whatever the device is that you're replacing. Because if I'm replacing something that's not at the end of its useful life, then I'm really not doing a good service, right, to the environment. And maybe I'm not doing a good service to this business. And so it's just something to consider. So, I think we've got about 10 years to really get a hold of climate change. And that's not just my opinion, it's a lot of opinions. I can't imagine a world where we're struggling for food and clean air. And so thank you guys all for being part of whatever it is that you're doing. I think that for anybody who's interested, the energy efficiency industry is pretty broad. And so here's the way I like to look at it and frame it so that if you're looking to jump into it or become more involved, you have an idea of where you can go. And I guess I would preface this to say that I really am an educator and a resource. So if anybody ever wants to email me or LinkedIn message me anytime, that world is open. But when I think about energy efficiency, I think about the built environment simply because I'm not in transportation and I'm not in those other sectors, which, that's a whole different world that we probably won't get in here today. But we talk about the built environment. We talk about lighting, HVAC, refrigeration, plug loads. We talk about building envelope. And then we also talk about the behavioral changes that can occur within a business or a home or a manufacturing facility that can make an extreme impact without actually having to physically purchase and install something. And then we talk about process efficiencies when it comes to manufacturing. And this could be things like recapturing heat waste or balancing, staggering boilers and chillers and things like that. It's also a whole world of called retro commissioning, which I'm sure a lot of people have heard of. Retro commissioning and then monitoring based retro commissioning. So the idea behind retro commissioning is every building system is supposed to be commissioned right off of the bat, right when it's built. Now in the US, I think it's 60% of or 80% of our building stock is over 20 years old. Maybe it's 30 years old. And I'm sure it's the same where you are. And so what you have is buildings that have systems that were never commissioned, meaning the HVAC was installed, and a lot of this revolves around HVAC, heating, cooling, refrigerating, and then the processes from those systems. And if they were never commissioned, that they were never set to run at peak efficiency, even though they may have been designed that way by the architect or engineer. Typically up to the installer or a commissioning professional to commission those systems. So what we're doing now is we're going back and we're retro commissioning, which means we are basically making that unit run per its original spec. So to kind of bring it back into alignment and make it the most efficient it can be. Monitoring-based commissioning is taking it one step further and just putting controls and a monitoring platform on that so we can see, yes, we've dialed it in, and then we can check on it and have a dashboard for it. So I'm going to come back full circle for you real quick. A year ago, I made the decision to sharpen my focus within the energy industry. I was frustrated with not enough people caring about implementing energy efficiency and not having the concern that I have over carbon emissions. And so I kind of had to sit back and think of what is something that within my industry that everyone can use, and how can I basically do the most good with my time. So I ended up with thermostats. And so I worked with a company called Zen, and most buildings have thermostats. You might call it something different, but basically just a way to control the heating and cooling. And so across the world, there's only a very small percentage of buildings that have converted to smart thermostats. And so if you think about not even replacing or adjusting or tuning any of your HVAC, if you think about simply just controlling it, you can control them now from your phone or from computer, and you can set setbacks at night. You can set up geofencing, so where if you leave your house, the heating or cooling turns down low, and it's picking up a signal from your phone to figure out, oh, he's coming back. Let's turn the heating and cooling on, 20 minutes before the family arrives home or arrives at the office or whatever. And so all of a sudden, this opens up a whole new world, right? Because it's very economical to replace the thermostat, and it can save between 10 and 30% on energy costs. And so implementing these worldwide, just this one simple thing can completely change the game of energy efficiency. So we get past what we call low-hanging fruit, which is a very simple payback, a very simple thing to install. And I have one thing to say about that before I move on, is that if you are an energy efficiency professional and you're working with your company to implement projects, it's best to try to implement them all at once. One funding and one aggregated payback. Because if you chop off all the low-hanging fruit first, those other big projects that have heavy paybacks may never get funded, right? So it's just something to keep in mind. There's a very harsh reality, and that reality is that most people they don't care about energy efficiency. And a lot of people, they may not care as much about sustainability and climate change as we do. But I'll tell you what they do care about. They care a lot about indoor air quality, especially now with COVID and being able to change over the air in your facility. That can be built into energy efficiency. They care about maintenance more than most things. Reducing the amount of time and the budgets that come with repairs. They care about overall business and process efficiency, especially for companies who are starting to report their sustainability and disclose their sustainability. They want to show people that they're kind of doing the right thing. So reducing headaches and reducing disasters like water damage and floods, headaches of just things breaking down and causing downtime. Those are things that are all solved by energy efficiency as well, because if you're going to go in there and you're going to place controls on things and replace a system here or there, you really need to be thinking about resiliency and how to keep this facility up and running. People also really care about employee safety, employee health and wellness. And I'll give you an example. I've done a lot of these projects where you go into large refrigerated warehouses and there'll be evaporator fans this big, hundreds of them up in the ceiling, and they're all running all of the time. And they're so loud that it makes your head spin after a while. And so they don't need to be running all the time. You can put controls on them and you can adjust them. And so we would do that. And we come to find out people were doing it not because of the energy savings, simply because of the enormous amount of noise reduction, right? They're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on projects to make their employees happier, right? So they weren't going home with headaches every day. But the good news is those projects have a payback, right? And so it's tangible now, and it's something that we can promote. And then, last but not least, it's comfort. And so, whether you're a worker in an office or you're a customer in a store or a restaurant, the comfort of the people is very high up there. So if you can prove that with an energy efficiency project, then you've got a much more apt to get it pushed through and across the finish line. So I don't know where we're at in terms of time. We're probably at that half hour. So I'm going to kind of give some more ideas here, and then we're going to jump into hopefully questions and answers. So as you can see, my career path is kind of been all over the place. I've essentially been in this for most of my life, and I can sum it up to a couple things: an understanding of buildings and building systems, understanding of people and their businesses. And so that's kind of where it starts. So if you're looking to see how you can get into this industry or further your career, your education, find what's important to you and what you latch onto, what resonates with you, because I think that that's going to be the most important. If you're not passionate about it, you're going to lose interest, right? And so just to kind of cover the gamut of working professionals in this environment, you've got salespeople, you've got engineers, you've got business development, you've got project managers, operations, finance. And then from there, you've got commercial and industrial. I've done a lot of government projects, both state and federal here, so I'm sure that's the same where you are. There are the suppliers and the manufacturers, right? So whether it's an LED lighting manufacturer or HVAC manufacturer or like a software as a service platform, there are literally thousands and thousands out there now. And I right now my business is in what we call prop tech, or property technology, and there's a whole evolution of what I call energy tech unfolding right now. And it's an exciting time because this didn't exist 5 years ago in any way, shape, or form. And so I think that that's going to be really, really important for that growth in the near future here. You've also got housing. So whether it's MDU, like multi-dwelling units, or residential homes, apartments, you've got the whole prop tech industry, smart homes, and then you've got what we have here is called HERS testing, which is building envelope performance testing. So you can see how good your building performs in terms of windows and insulation and sealing up all the cracks and everything. And that's a whole industry within itself. And then, in terms of becoming an energy or a sustainability manager for an organization, whether it's a business or a nonprofit, those positions are growing at 8% per year every year over year. And so, and then there's energy policy, with your local governments. There's the incentive programs from the utilities. There's green lending, if you're into the financial or banking world at all. And there's plenty of room for everybody out there. I think it's really just a matter of where you fit in. And so my thought of where this is all going is, look, I think there's about 10,000 companies out there right now, give or take, that are disclosing their carbon emissions, their greenhouse gas. The number's probably gone up since I looked last, but that's the world that we're starting to live in now, which is great because it's accountability, right? And again, energy efficiency is like if you're looking at a pyramid, it's the one down below. It's the foundation. So this needs to be done first. And as you get up into renewable projects and other sustainability metrics, then we have, disclosure, which disclosure is what makes it possible to really meet our 2030 and 2050 goals, because it's very much what you guys are doing there with your business, which is really helping to give people the platform to be able to, make it easy for people to report and to reduce their carbon emissions, right? And so, last but not least, certifications. So you talked about the Association of Energy Engineers. It's a great one. I got my business energy professional certification through them, which is designed for somebody who is more on the business and selling side. And then there's the certified energy manager, which is more on the engineering side. They also have a certified energy auditor and probably a half dozen more. So they're a good place to look. The leadership in energy and environmental design is a great one, especially for commercial buildings, but it's seems to be geared more towards new construction than it is existing buildings. EMP is one that I'm working on right now. It's Energy Management Professional, and it's really cool because it gives you basically a path and a very defined process for going into a facility and really understanding their billing and their building systems, and then how to create the proposals and how to interact with that company. So I would definitely check out EMP. And then the last two are WELL, WELL. It's the International Well Buildings Institute. And then the Institute of Real Estate Management has a good program called their CSP program. And it's basically designed to just put metrics in place and milestones and goals to achieve. So last but not least, the podcast that you spoke of, I'm starting to interview more and more energy managers, sustainability managers. And so it's only a couple of years old, but there's some good ones in there, and they're all very different and unique. So I encourage you to check it out, simply because it's my way of trying to spread the message of energy efficiency. So I think I'm going to pause there. I've been talking for a while. Can we open it up for any questions?
Dhruv, your mic is not.
Sorry. We have Sachin here, by the way, Shawn.
Hi, Shawn.
Hey, Sachin, how are you?
Very nice, very nice. Thanks a lot for showing up.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So we have a question from Dalip, who asks, in your country, green building projects NOC required for concept for installation as well as for operation?
One more time?
In your country, green building projects, the NOC are required for the concept for installation as well as for operation.
I'm not sure I quite understand the question.
Okay.
Is something required for? Is that what you say?
They are asking if in US green building projects require NOC for both for the concept of installation and for both operation. Is it available, or is it possible, or you can say, is it required for both installation and operation, or what is the scene like there in US?
OC?
NOC.
We don't use OC. What is OC?
Non objection certificate. I don't.
Oh,
I didn't
no,
get it
I
either.
don't think it's something that we use here.
Okay.
No.
All right. Shawn, I had a question.
Yes.
So, since there are most of the people who've joined this sessions are students, and for somebody like me, if I like a lot of like if when I was a student, a big part of what I was doing was exploring, right? And
Mhm.
a lot of people who are in this session might not be sure that they want to get into energy efficiency.
Mhm.
However, they are here to listen to you because you're an expert in this field, right? So just wanted to understand, like, if I want to start off with energy efficiency as a rookie, as somebody who doesn't want to get affiliation to begin with or anything like that, how can I start doing that in my home, right? So how can I put together like small affordable devices or stuff like that to monitor my energy and make it more efficient, basically?
Sure. I think it's right now is a great time for that because everything is so widespread, and it's probably very easy to start off with a a Google Nest and some other simple property technology. But what I found what I've done, and especially this is, I'm learning just like all of you, and I think the easiest way to start is to implement one device at a time. Well, so let's say it's a smart thermostat, and then if you pay utility or electric bill or whatever your bill is, so install something, and then look at your bills for a couple of months afterwards, right? And start to implement little things every few months and look at your bill and look at the difference, right? And look at the usage in kilowatts or whatever it is. And if you start to do that, you'll start to understand that relationship behind components.
So, Shawn,
Start.
so basically in India, thermostat is like not a common thing, and because the temperature here is like very moderate and all of that, you'll find thermostats only in hotels, right? So,
I see.
so if you could just quickly tell people what a thermostat is and how they can use it.
Yeah, well, so maybe the thermostat is not a good example, but LED lighting is the very simple one that everybody understands. Thermostats we use across U.S. and Europe to control heating and cooling, really, because we don't have moderate temperatures. But literally, just if you look at lighting, a lot of lighting on it when you purchase it on the back. And it's like this here. I don't know if it's like it there, but it'll tell you the watts that it will save, right? And so basically, you're screwing it in. Hopefully, you can see that direct correlation on your energy bill.
Got it.
It's a very, very simple way to start off.
Yeah, and then you can get into BLDC, using a BLDC fan, or probably putting together something like a sensor in your washroom because you leave your washroom slide open and all of that.
Sure, definitely, yeah.
Awesome. So, so Dhruv, you can take it.
Yeah, we have a question in the chat who says, how do you think India should manage its transfer of coal to any other energy system and making it efficient?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's a big topic. And the one thing that you have to consider is all of the workers in that industry, that coal industry, right? A lot of those workers are not going to transfer over to to energy technology, designing software platforms and so on and so forth. So there's a gap, right? And so I think it's two things, right? It's there has to be some significant policy change, and there needs to be something to educate workers that will be put out of work, right? And get workers geared up for like the energy revolution. So, I think that what we're doing with that here, we have that same issue here in the U.S. where we have states that their industry is primarily coal, and those states have taken a big hit because, look, solar is a lot cheaper, than coal is now, and so what we're having to do, and what I think the answer is kind of all around, is you can't just decommission a coal plant. What you need to do is you need to slowly start training people on what a direction is to move laterally into this new technology, whether it's energy or it's something completely different, right? It may just be that half of those people go drive transport or go into a different industry. But I think there needs to be government policy and funding available in order to make that changeover for employees. And I really think it's going to be, for the time being, I think it's going to be changing to PV or solar, just because of the cost of it. They are working on a lot of micronuclear, type of solutions right now, and that may be something that expands in the future, but I don't think we're quite there yet, and I don't know how everybody feels about it, right? So I think it's not quite proven and ready. So I think it's going to be a 10-year transition.
Here's another question by Jatin, who asks, what are your views about green hydrogen fuel as an energy source?
About green what?
Green hydrogen fuel as
Green
an energy
hydrogen fuel?
source. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I like it. I thoroughly believe in it. The one drawback is that it's very energy intensive, right, to produce hydrogen, for fuel cells. So unless we can come up with a great solution to in using clean energy to create the electricity, I've ran analysis before. For instance, a lot of my former clients have forklifts with batteries, right? And so we're looking at changing over the batteries from, just a regular electric charger battery to a hydrogen fuel cell battery. And there was no payback on energy, right? So they consume about the same amount of electricity because of the electricity, used to create the hydrogen. However, the hydrogen fuel cell battery, it doesn't take 8 hours to charge. It takes like a minute to charge. So now what you have is process efficiency, and it's quantifiable. So I do believe we need to go there. I don't think the point at which we achieve hydrogen electricity is quite there yet. But if you have a large distribution facility, or if you just have a lot of batteries, then it should make financial sense for you as a business. Yeah.
What's the typical ROI for implementing energy efficiency in buildings?
What is a typical ROI?
Yeah.
Well, anything under 3 years, I think is something that gets funding usually, right? And I would kind of throw out there that there's a lot of projects that have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 year paybacks, and they need to be done too. And there's a lot of funding out there. Right now there's efficiency as a service or energy efficiency as a service, which is a great funding platform for higher payback projects. And then there's performance contracting for the public sector.
We have another question. How do you see the situation of clean energy adoption by 2025? How much have the Western countries achieved it?
I think we're behind the eight ball on that. We're far behind though. I don't really see that happening by 2025 in where we are. I think we're lucky if we can get there by 2030 or even more. I'm not really the guy to give you a solid answer on it, but from everything that I've seen, we're not there. I don't think we're going to meet those goals unless something changes significantly in the near future.
So these are the questions that we've received till now. Okay, we have one more. What do you think about the tidal energy as a replacement of solar?
Can you say that one more time?
What do you think about the tidal energy as a replacement of solar energy?
The tidal?
Tidal.
Yeah. I think it's brilliant technology. I just had this conversation yesterday with somebody about tidal, and there's a lobbying group here that say that we don't want to kill the fish, so therefore it's maybe that project isn't happening. And so I think with anything like that, in winds the same way. There's the concern of birds, right? And I think you really have to weigh the advantages and disadvantages. But for tidal, I think it's a fantastic technology. There's a lot of concerns with it, especially with the corrosiveness of the water and so on and so forth. But I think that every day that we're looking at installing those technologies, the more money that's put into the R&D to make these more sustainable technologies. And so we have to explore it. Even if it's not the answer, it's one of those 100 solutions from drawdown that, look, we need a combination of everything. If I'm somebody who's just getting into renewables, solar is a lot easier place to start than tidal, right? Just because of the investment dollars that are on the table. You could start off with a microgrid in your backyard or your rooftop. Tidal's a completely different story, but I believe it has the potential to do much more than solar over time. Definitely. I'm excited to see where that goes. Good question.
In India, star rating equipment is 30% higher cost, and how one can get ROI keeping efficiency in mind?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, will you get the 30% back? Well, you will get the 30% back. It's just a matter of when, right? So I turn the question to something like this. So let's say, for instance, I have $100, and where can I go invest that $100 and get $50 back in 2 years? So if something has a 2-year ROI, I mean, stocks and bonds is 5 to 15% ROI. Energy efficiency is anywhere from 30 to 50 to 100% ROI. And so if you're going to invest your own money or your business's money, you have to look about it like any other investment, like you would any other investment. And if I can put an additional 30% into buying more efficient appliances, but I get my money back in 2 years, and it's a 15 to 20 year piece of equipment, that's a good investment. Yeah.
So these are the many questions we've already had, and I'm glad that we had you, Shawn. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for I'm really sorry to have woke you this early in the morning, especially.
Oh no, it's great. You got me out of bed. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, it was really great. And to everybody, just to give you a short intro about what Lusu does. Actually, Lusu is a startup based out of Bangalore and Karnataka in India, and it actually helps you become carbon neutral. And you can actually go there. I'll leave the link down in the description where you can go and actually calculate your super carbon emissions that you actually emit. And not only about that, you can actually offset, or you can say erase those carbon footprints with our help. So that's pretty much it. And we also are creating a Discord community. So for people joining in for the first time, you can actually go there and just join our Discord server for further updates, for further great events also. So I thank you everyone for being part and having great patience.
Just one thing, bro.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Shawn, if you could share your LinkedIn or Twitter with everyone, people will be able to connect with you. They want to continue the conversation.
I'm happy. Can you guys share it, or should I just put it in the chat, or what?
Do you have a Twitter?
No, I really only use LinkedIn.
Okay, cool. So we have the email IDs. We'll also share LinkedIn IDs so people can connect with you on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I look forward to it. And anytime, any question, happy to do it.
All right. Thank you so much, Shawn. Nice talking to you.
You as well. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah. Dhruv, is there anything else you want to add?
No, that's pretty much it. I'll leave the LinkedIn profile of Mr. Shawn in the chat. You already have it, so people go. You can connect with him personally at personal basis. He's already happy to help here, and he can surely help you out personally. So thank you so much, Shawn, again, and have a great day. Hope to see you soon.
All right,
bye.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers.
Dhruv, are you there?
Yeah, I am here.
Yeah, so don't leave, otherwise we'll lose the people's ID. So we should copy that first.
Okay. I guess I've logged out and logged in once again. But I already have a track, don't worry. We have it over this thing also. We have the YouTube recording, so maybe that would be too much of manpower. But in just a moment, I'll do that one thing. Just give me a second.
Hello, Dhruv.
Yes, sir. Dilipji, Sachin speaking. Please tell me.
Okay, certainly I am very happy when I joined this slow shoot. I have suggested that you must start issuing the certificate of attendance to the participant.
Yes, sir.
And today I am very happy that you have declared the participation certificate or appreciation certificate. I am really thankful to this group.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for attending all the sessions that we have done, and we'll definitely send certificates for all the sessions that we'll conduct for the future as well. Thank you so much.
My final request is this: कि you must ask for the feedback also. Paul.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll do that. We'll do that over email to everyone who has attended.
That is the need of it today. Otherwise, so somebody may join 5 minutes and left the this particular session and may not get the certificate. This certificate may be issued the person who has attended the whole session throughout.
Yes, sir. That's a good advice. We'll try to put in mechanisms to track and issue the certificate to the right person. Thank you so much, sir.
I assure you that I will not leave any session till I am active.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Manoj, the session is over. You joined late.
Hello. Mic testing 1, 2, 3.
Manoj, the session is over. You joined late.
Hello. Mic test.
Hello. I've got the names and IDs copied. People can leave out now.
Cool. Actually, I had all the names and everything kept with me.
Okay, cool. Not a problem.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.